Hello, I'm Dave Branson with FieldTRAKS Solutions. In this screencast, I'll be demonstrating how to import event records that are stored in CSV text files into FieldTRAKS. For the demonstration, I'll be importing daily weather observations that have been downloaded from a website and with some minor editing are ready to be imported. The steps for importing farm or field level event records or geographic data are all very similar. To import any event records into FieldTRAKS, it is necessary to understand the structure of the data that you're importing. Does your text file include a single header line that contains the data field names? These are required to match the import data to the appropriate data fields in the FieldTRAKS event. Also, does it include a data field that contains the object name that the record will match with? For instance, if you're importing field level events such as planting or harvest records, these need to include the field name. In our example, we'll be importing weather station records and need to include the name of the weather station as it appears in the FieldTRAKS database. Once you know that your file is ready, you start the FieldTRAKS Data Mapper application and create an import template. This describes the structure of the file being imported and how the data will map to the appropriate FieldTRAKS activity. This template can be saved and reused each time a file of the same structure is imported. After the import template has been created, you can proceed with importing the data. The system allows you to review the data that you're importing and interactively select which records to include in the import before you commit the upload to the database. Once you're satisfied that your import template is correctly interpreting your import data and that you have the correct record selected, you improve the import and the records are uploaded to the database. For this demonstration, I'll be uploading daily weather observations that have been downloaded in CSV format from the Environment Canada Weather Office website. The website provides hourly, daily, monthly, and climate normals for weather stations throughout Canada. The process for uploading any CSV data is similar. For this demonstration, I've gone to the Environment Canada Weather Office website and navigated to the Ottawa International Airport daily weather observation results for December. And if I scroll down to the bottom of the page, I can see that I have an option here for downloading the data in CSV format. Saving that file brings up a file that contains this information with a number of extra header lines. This is unnecessary information up here. We only want to have a single header line that includes the data field names above the data that we're importing. So we need to strip out these extra lines, and we also need to add in an additional column which includes the name of the weather station as it appears in the FieldTRAKS database. So with a little bit of editing, I go in here and I can see I've already gone through and I've cleaned up the data here and just added in this station name, and now this data here is ready to be used to create an import template using the FieldTRAKS Data Mapper. When I log into the FieldTRAKS Data Mapper, and I have a blank workspace over here, I can see I already have one template created, but we need to create a new template that will describe the CSV file that we're importing. So we click on New Template, and we give that file or the template a name. So we'll just call this one weather station data, and we browse to where the CSV file is that's going to form our template, and here's the data for the Ottawa station. And here we have an option of selecting what file format. We've already selected CSV, so that takes us to the Ottawa station. We select the type of file format that we want to use for our template. In this case, we're selecting CSV, and we browse to the file that's going to form the template. So here's the Ottawa data that we've just done some editing to. After loading that, we select what is the activity that we are going to import the data against. Selecting the target activity brings down a drop down of all of the available activities for the current profile. So in this case, we're going to be selecting the daily weather observations, so weather daily summaries. Once we've defined the date format, we need to go back, load the sample data, and select the column that will match the data up against to the objects in the database. In this case, we're going to be selecting the station name from the CSV file is going to map to the object name, the weather station name in the FieldTRAKS side. Next step is to go through and just proceed with doing the mappings from the data elements in the CSV file to the elements in the FieldTRAKS event. So in this case, we are going to match up with the date. There is no comments, so we just leave that one blank and proceed with mapping the remaining elements here. So max temperature, min temperature, etc. Once we have completed the mapping of the data properties, we just simply save the template, and then we proceed over to the Import tab. So select Import Data, and it has automatically selected the last template that we were working on. Now we need to again browse for the data that we are now going to import. In this case, it will be the Ottawa data. So open that file and select the target. The target in this case is the farm. And what folder? We only have one folder for this particular farm, so it's the 2010 folder. Once that's being completed, it's gone through and pulled out a list of the weather stations for that farm, and we process the data. Processing the data will go through and match up all of the data elements to the appropriate objects. We're only importing the Ottawa airport data, so that's the only one that's showing up here now. Click these drop-down buttons. It shows us the data that's being imported for each record. And if we choose to skip certain records, we have the option of going in and turning off those records on with the check boxes. Once we're satisfied that the data template is mapping things correctly, we approve the upload, and what this does is actually goes through the process of committing the data to the FieldTRAKS database on the server, and then we're ready to go into FieldTRAKS and check our data. The upload will take a few seconds to a few minutes depending on the size of the data set that you're uploading. Logging back into FieldTRAKS, we can see the data that we've just imported. So if I go down to the weather stations, we can see the two weather stations. There's the Kemptville one and the one at the Ottawa airport. And clicking on the tabs below, if I go up to click the farm, it'll give me the data for all of the weather stations. And we can do some work within this data grid as well, in terms of sorting the data. So if I want to see the data sorted by weather station, I can drag the column up and just get the Kemptville data or get the Ottawa data. I could also go in and sort it by day. Here I can bring up the days and go through and see the data for both the Ottawa and the Kemptville station for the same day. From the data grid, I can take that data and export it back out to Excel, Word, HTML, or back out to a CSV format. There are several reports that have been constructed as well. So looking at the report template, under the custom reports, we've got a daily weather summary report where I can go in and generate a report for one or several stations. So if I go in and select the date, in this case I'll select the first 2 weeks of July, and run that report for the folder. And here's the report format where it's gone through and pulled out the data for both the Kemptville and the Ottawa weather station and done some sums and averages on it. That concludes the demonstration. Importing a CSV file for farm or field level activities follows the very same process. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us at info@fieldtraks.ca. Thank you.